In this video, we'll take a look at how to classify the MNIST dataset, a classic example of image classification using a multilayer perceptron, or MLP. We'll also walk through the coding implementation together. The code file is available on GitHub, so you can download it and try running it yourself. The MNIST dataset is a widely used introductory example for training image recognition algorithms in the field of computer vision. As you can see, it consists of handwritten digit images representing the numbers 0 through 9, each paired with a corresponding label. The entire dataset contains 70,000 images. 60,000 are used for training the model, and the remaining 10,000 are used for testing. Each image in the MNIST dataset is made up of values ranging from 0 to 255, as shown in the figure below, which represent the brightness of each pixel. The images are fixed at 28 by 28 pixels, meaning their size and shape are standardized. While color images typically have 3 channels, RGB, that is red, green, and blue, MNIST images are grayscale, so they only have a single channel. If you look at the example below, you can see that the handwritten digit 8 is represented by a grid of numbers between 0 and 255, arranged in 28 rows and 28 columns. First, we need to convert them into a one-dimensional format in order to feed MNIST images into a multilayer perceptron. As we discussed in the previous slide, MNIST images are 2D with a size of 28 by 28 pixels. So we flatten them into a 1D array with 784 dimensions before passing them into the MLP. The MLP we're using here has a fully connected structure, meaning every input node is connected to every node in the next layer. As you can see in the diagram below, the 2D image is flattened into a 1D vector, which is then fed into the MLP, and the model outputs a label from 0 to 9. Now, let's move on to the coding part, where we'll implement the MNIST classification using a multilayer perceptron. First, we start by importing the necessary libraries. We'll use NumPy for numerical operations, Matplotlib for data visualization, and TensorFlow to load the MNIST dataset and build our deep learning model. Then, we load the MNIST dataset and split it into training and test sets. As you can see, the training set contains 60,000 images, and the test set has 10,000 images. Each image is 28 by 28 pixels in size. If we take a look at the MNIST dataset, for example, by loading the 300th data point, we can see that it represents the digit 8. When visualized, it appears as a grid of numbers, ranging from 0 to 255. First, since the X data consists of pixel values ranging from 0 to 255, we normalize it by dividing by 255 so that all values fall between 0 and 1. Next, we use the toCategorical function to convert the integer labels from 0 to 9 into one hot encoded format. Now, we're ready to feed the data into the multilayer perceptron. The model consists of an input layer, 2 hidden layers, and an output layer. We start by defining the model with sequential, and then add each layer one by one using add. The first layer is a flatten layer, which converts the 28 by 28 two-dimensional image into a 784-dimensional one-dimensional vector. The next layer is the first hidden layer, with 128 nodes, using ReLU as the activation function. Then, we add a second hidden layer with 64 nodes, also using ReLU. Finally, the output layer has 10 nodes, one for each digit from 0 to 9, and uses the softmax function to output a probability distribution. You can check the model structure and the number of parameters in each layer using the model summary command. Now let's compile the neural network model we just built. We'll use the Atom Optimizer for training and set the learning rate to 0.001. Since our class labels are in one hot-encoded format, we'll use categorical cross-entropy as the loss function. And for evaluating the model's performance, we'll use accuracy as our metric. We now train the model using the training data, X-train and Y-train. We've set the number of epochs to 30, and we're using a batch size of 32, which means the model processes 32 samples at a time during training. Also, we've set aside 30% of the training data as validation data, so we can monitor for overfitting while the model is training. The loss, accuracy, and other metrics from this training process are stored in the learning variable. As the training progresses over multiple epochs, you'll notice that the loss gradually decreases while the accuracy increases. Once the training is complete, we evaluate the model using the test dataset. By calling the evaluation function, we can check the loss and accuracy on the test data. In this case, the model achieved an accuracy of 0.979, that is, 97.9%. However, there are limitations when using an MLP. First, when we flatten the image into a one-dimensional array, the spatial relationships between pixels are lost. For example, pixels that are close together in the original image can end up far apart in the 1D vector. Second, there are too many parameters. Because the input dimension is 784, even with just 10 nodes in a hidden layer, there are 7,840 connection parameters, which leads to high computational cost and increases the risk of overfitting. Third, MLPs struggle to capture local features effectively. Important patterns like edges or curves in digits are difficult to automatically extract. Finally, if the image is slightly rotated or shifted, the model treats it as a completely different input, meaning it would need to be retrained for the same digit in a different position, which is inefficient. To overcome these limitations, convolutional neural network was developed. CNN better captures the spatial structure of images and can automatically extract features. We'll look into CNN in more detail in another video.